Black Card University, that all started for me back in 2017 or so. I used to work in mining, also in BC with Ron. We worked at the same place, the same plant. Pretty heavy industry doing that, lots of hard work, like very heavy labor job. So what happened with me is I climbed up the ladder of the mining industry, like where I was in the concentrator really quickly. And eventually what happened is I started off as just like a general laborer. That's like the grunt worker. They shovel shit all day, not literally shit, but like rocks. They just shovel all day. All the stuff like back-breaking labor. And then what happened is I was super ambitious. So I started climbing up the circuits super fast. So I was putting in tons of overtime, lots of long hours. I was making probably more money than a lot of the people that were in a much higher position than I was, just because of like pure ambition and just hours. So lots of double time. And then what ended up happening is I ended up being in the control room, which is the place that controls all the production from the entire processing plant. And it's a pretty big plant. It's about a $500 million operation. Like they have hundreds and hundreds of employees. And eventually I found myself being the control room operator that was running the whole place from the control room that I was working in. So like one guy in there running everything. So what ended up happening is I ended up getting capped out in mining. And then there was really nowhere for me to go or to advance. Like I was capped out on income. There was really no other position that I could go into. The other thing that I was really scared of when I was doing that is that mining, especially when you're dealing with commodities like copper, gold, all that stuff, at some point the prices of that stuff fluctuate so much that some places end up just shutting the doors. I work with lots of people that were a lot older than I was, and they were working in there as well, and they'd been mining for 30, 40 years. They've all seen 5 or 6 cycles of commodities going up and down and dropping right off to the point that all the mines close. So I was like in my early 20s, I was making, 6 figures. I was making really good income doing that. I was probably one of the younger people that was in that position, like probably in the country, I'm imagining, because it takes quite a lot of work. It's like you need like a lot of skills for that. But what ended up happening is that I was afraid that if mining ever shut down, that I would be left with no job because I didn't really have any specialized skills over and above my mining position. So what I ended up doing is I applied for an apprenticeship, and that was for millwrighting, which is an industrial mechanic. So I ended up moving from Vancouver to go to Vancouver to go to trade school. I took a massive pay cut for that, but the only reason I did it was for security. I knew that if mining all of a sudden went down, that I could just switch into another industry and go and work into pretty much anything where you can fix the big equipment. So I was going to be a lot safer. So I did that, started trade school. The very first day of trade school, I ended up seeing down the street, there was a real estate seminar, and it was for RAIN, which is Real Estate Investment Network. It's a pretty big real estate company in Canada. They do lots of real estate education, lots of statistics, whatever, lots of meetup groups once a month. So I poked my head in the door of the RAIN seminar, and it was basically a sales pitch. So it was a sales pitch. It was like 2 or 3 hours long only. I was just about to start my first day of trade school. The guy that was doing the pitch, his name was Richard Dolan, and he's the president of RAIN. And he was basically telling everybody like the benefits. It was a sales thing. They're trying to sign up for their yearly membership, whatever. All the benefits of real estate investing, all the stuff like cash flow. That was my first time hearing anything about building wealth or cash flow, income properties, all that stuff. My very first time hearing about any of that. I had no idea what the opportunity was like in real estate. So I ended up signing up for the RAIN thing. It was like a couple $100 a month membership for the year. After I left that little workshop, it was about like 2 or 3 hours long. Like my mindset was already completely changed. Like I was literally like a different person when I walked out of that workshop, because now I had an understanding about some of the other ways that you could make a lot of money, and maybe trades wasn't actually going to be the best way for me to make a living. So at that time, I thought I was going to be in trades until I retired. I would make $100K, whatever. It would be like nice. It's hard work. But now all of a sudden I had like this massive mindset shift over like 2 or 3 hours, and there was like so much else out there. So what I ended up doing is I started just hiring a whole bunch of coaches. Like I hired a bunch of real estate coaches because I knew that real estate was something that I could see myself doing. And then I was online looking. I hired one coach. It was going okay, but I thought that I needed more than that. So I started following a guy, Stefan Arnio, online. He's the one that created Black Card University. And I flew from Vancouver. I'm here in Winnipeg now. Flew from Vancouver out here to Winnipeg to attend one of his mindset courses. It was called Your Best Self. And that was all about mindset. So that was another thing. It was like 2 or 3 days. There was a whole bunch of his students. He does real estate training, real estate coaching. He coaches people on how to find discounted properties, how to raise money, how to negotiate. He trains on selling, building wealth, marketing, like all the main skills that you need as an entrepreneur and as a business owner to be able to scale a business. He teaches all of that stuff. So I had a chance to talk to some of the students. He had, 11 or 12 students that were there for the seminar. There was a bunch of other people too, but 11 or 12 of them were students. We had a VIP dinner and I had a chance to speak with them all one-on-one. And every single person that I talked to that was a student was actively doing deals and actively flipping properties. And like, keep in mind, they weren't like they were sharp people, but just at a first glance, they were just like your normal people, everyday people. They just seemed to me like blue collar people. Like they weren't like big, crazy investors, not super well put together and polished and sharp. So I was thinking, okay, well, if these guys can figure this out, then I'm definitely going to be able to figure it out. So what I ended up doing is I ended up signing up for Black Card's program. It's called the Bronze Level Coaching Program. And I started doing that. That was at the very end of 2017. So that's pretty much how it all started for me. I got into that program. I took on a whole bunch of debt, taking all these different programs. I was eventually in about $58,000 or $59,000 of credit card debt because the real estate coachings, they're fairly expensive usually. You can make a lot of money, but you also have to pay a decent amount on the front end with some of them. So I took a few of them, spent about $58,000, $59,000 on coaching. The very first deal that I ever completed with that program, it was in the Okanagan, so it was in Penticton, British Columbia. This is my very first real estate transaction. I ended up netting $68,000, and I paid off about $60,000 worth of credit card debt. So that to me was extremely eye-opening because now I was thinking, okay, well, it was sort of a dream in the beginning. Everybody fantasizes about that. Yeah. Everybody wants real estate. Like they watch it all the time online. But now that I actually made $68,000 on my very first transaction, I knew for sure that real estate investing was definitely what I needed to do to be able to achieve some of my goals. So that's sort of how I got into real estate investing. That's how I did my very first deal. That is what I've done to get the skills that are necessary to be able to scale a real estate business is through that same program. And then what happened is I finished that deal. I did a couple more deals on my own. Yeah. And then now I've upgraded into the highest level program that we have to offer at Black Card. It's called the Platinum Plus program. So now I'm coaching one-on-one with Steph and Arnio every single week. It's about a 12 to 18 month program. I'm flipping 12 properties inside of this program in about a year, which is quite a lot of volume actually. Here in Winnipeg, the average price of a single family home is about $300,000. The model that I have, I'm not going to break it down in great detail right now, but I'm making about 10% of that in profit. So I'm making about $30,000 of profit on a property that I sell for $300,000. So if I did 12 of those in the year, like you guys can do the simple math on that. Like it's a pretty good way to make money. Even if I was staying in like lower median and making 20 grand a pop, and I did a dozen of those, that's still about $250,000 in the year that I'm going to be making with that program. So learning a lot of the skills, learning a lot of the systems, have a lot of the accountability that goes along with that. And that's sort of how I got into the space. And that's currently what I'm doing right now.